In 2015, I serendipitously started a company called the Life Workshop. Incidentally, it was at the peak of my own depression and anxiety, where somehow a motivational training company got started. I traveled the country, training about 4,000 management students, police, anti-terrorist squad, defense, senior citizens, my own faculty. So for those who don't know, I'm an engineer myself, an absolute backbencher. The backbencher engineers, you will probably be here someday. Okay, and you will go back to do training in your own college. And of course, thousands and thousands of women. Senior citizens and a lot of women. So today, I didn't know what to talk about. One of the things that I could talk about was my own journey, the challenges I went through, how at the peak of my depression, I created a company and got an award for it, which is in 2019, I was awarded the Rex Karmveer Award for doing the work of social impact. Or I could talk about something that has been on my mind so much that the last 1 year I've dedicated to writing a book about it, which is women. Then I thought, the men in the audience will say, oh no, another feminist talk. This is not about me, right? But I want to invite every man in the room to think about the most important woman of your life. Your mother, your daughter, wife, girlfriend, sister, best friend, colleague, I don't know who it is for you. But think about that person and think about how much does their life satisfaction and how much does their happiness quotient matter to you. Then this talk very much becomes about you. I'm from MP. I was born in MP. I've always lived in Bombay. But whenever I would go back to my hometown, I would see this scenario, okay? And if you want to imagine where I come from, think gangs of Wasipur, okay? So there would always be this beautiful, my mamis and masis, they would be sari clad in, very different from the women in Bombay. Bindi, sola shringar, jewelry, okay? And when any function or any event, whenever there used to be dancing, they used to be sitting in one corner, very nicely trying to enjoy themselves. And then there was this ritual that would happen, okay? Somebody from the dance floor would have eye contact with her, look at her and say, Bhabiji, come dance. And she would say, nay, 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 nay. Then he would say, no, come, dance. No. Then the person would go dancing to Bhabiji, okay? And then he would say, come on, dance. And she would say, no, come on, dance. And no. And this Raslila would happen. And eventually, Bhabiji would give in and she would say, okay, for you, only for you, even though it is making me so uncomfortable, I shall dance. And I used to think, why is it that a woman does so much overthinking? If she wants to dance, just get up and dance. And it has taken several decades and a lot of failures and, a lot of understanding, a journey from a maiden to a woman to understand. And I'm presenting 3 syndromes in front of you. One of them is that ever since we have a small girl in our society, we teach her the good girl syndrome. Okay, and it is an all-encompassing identity. Like Bhabiji was taught, good girls don't dance. Good girls don't get up and start to, be so bold. So good girls, by definition, don't say no. They always please people. They sacrifice themselves for others. And most of all, maintain the peace and harmony, whether it's inside the family, at work, in college. So what does that mean in life? It means don't have sex before marriage. It means don't wear that. Don't sit like that. Don't laugh like that. Don't drink. Good girls don't do this. Good girls don't do that. Because we are creating a sacrifice culture for our women right since they are very, very small. We are teaching our daughters that sacrifice is virtue. That you have to put yourself last and you have to let the others win. Don't take space. You're a girl. Don't be seen. Don't be visible. Don't be heard. It's fine. As long as you're putting a smile on someone else's face. This is a story from Orissa. This is a girl who was, when she was a young girl in college, she used to love to do fashion, okay? She used to love decking up, take her mother's lipsticks, jewelry, adorn them. One day, after getting so many, threats from her father, who used to not like this behavior, used to say, "Achhi ghar ki ladkiyan, good girls from good families, don't behave this way." He saw her coming back from school with her top tied, her skirt rolled up a little bit, and she was putting on her mother's lipstick and dancing. He took her, put her in a sack, a jute sack, tied her up and left her in a dark room. This kid, when she came out after half an hour, she was no longer that vibrant personality. She left it all because of the trauma that she faced. 10 years later, when I met her, she was still facing that trauma in the form of schizophrenia because her creativity was never allowed to be unleashed. How does a good girl show up? We want our girls to be compliant, kehna mano. And this compliance shows up in, even if you ask a 13-year-old girl, when they were surveyed, they said it's leading to panic attacks and suicidal thoughts. Have you ever heard this? Men and women of the room, I ask you, have you ever heard this in the family, where a woman who's very important to you and is reasonably lived 30, 40 years, and she says, everything I have done is for someone else. I have sacrificed my whole life for my family to be happy. For you, for your father. It's a common line that we hear. It's called the burnt toast syndrome. It leads to common symptoms like lumps in the breast, fibroids, heart diseases, and of course, stress and depression. It's a lifetime of self-deprivation that leads to this. In an AC Nielsen survey, when women were asked, guess what? 87% of Indian women are like the most stressed and pressured women in the world right now. At work, how does this good girl syndrome show up? We don't like bossy women. Research shows when a woman is successful, she's not liked. She's called bitchy. She's called bossy. How else does it show up? 30% of females globally, their first sexual experience is a forced one. And good girls don't speak up. They don't have to create a scene. Good girls carry the burden of family name and reputation. The reason I started writing this book is because my mother was child molested. I was child molested. Neither one of us spoke about it or reported it. We lived through it. We still meet those people at family functions. We say namaste. It stops at us. We need to stop teaching our daughters this good girl syndrome that constantly makes them underestimate themselves. And the worst part is, guess what? These syndromes are taught by women to women. When two boys fight, they abuse each other, they hit each other. Women pass snide remarks, spoil each other's name. Women are not okay with women succeeding. We need solidarity. The second thing we are teaching our girls is the Snow White syndrome. Beauty shall set you free. So women have two jobs. One, they have to be a good girl. Second, they have to be beautiful. Because the Snow White syndrome, as the fairy tale goes, says the one who's beautiful is virtuous. And the one who's ugly will be left alone, like the evil stepmother, who would look into the mirror and ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of them all?" So now, we sold through this fairy tale the idea to young women. If you are beautiful, you are liked. If you're beautiful, you will have no problems in life. You will get married, you'll have a luxurious life, because of course, marriage is the ultimate purpose, right, in our society. So, we sold this Snow White syndrome to young girls. Except when these young girls grew up, they became both sides of the mirror. Now when women look into the mirror, they are both Snow White and the evil stepmother. They're constantly criticizing themselves. 32% women said the biggest beauty pressure was put on them by themselves. And it starts very young for us girls. I don't know how many of you would relate, but when I was a kid, everything in the kitchen was used on my face to make me fair. Because they said, oh my God, she's too dark. How will she get married? Right? What is the end of that sentence? A study has found that 82% of 10-year-old girls are afraid of being fat. The biggest fear of a girl. You see, this beauty myth has been sold to us in the form of a self-hatred, and it is strategically planned. There is a $3.8 billion industry flourishing from this attitude they have put inside of us. That's why women are chronic overthinkers who think, one of the things which is so common with all women is we are taught that we are not good enough the way we are. We have to change something, improve something, right? There was a gentleman who came to my house for a party once, and Indians have this habit. I think most people have this habit. When we go to somebody's bathroom, we see what toiletries they have, right? And so when he went to my bathroom, he said, "Oh my God, you have so many things. You have a back scrub and an under eye cream, a hair conditioner, a foot scrub." I said, yeah, because there's so much shame attached to every part of a woman's body. We have a product for improving every part of our body, right? So we have become, and when I'm a girl, I'm in a constant lifelong self-improvement program, because I've been told since I was a kid, a good girl or a beautiful girl is fair. She has to be thin, she has to have a certain amount of, she has to be fair. The features have to be just right. The hair should be curly but not frizzy, or maybe straight but long. Breast should be well endowed but not too much, because that would make her look slutty. You don't want that. The body has to be a certain way. Even appearance-based judgment, which I'm sure I have crossed today, right? I mean, the first thing we will notice is like, what is she wearing? About anyone, right? Clothes, lipstick shade, eyeliner, length of bindi, length of skirt, sleeveless blouse, full blouse. Everything is deterrent to a woman's character. I was talking to a friend who writes for Indian television series, and he said, when we want to create a vamp, we give her a sleeveless blouse, cleavage, big bindi, loud lips, and that's how we train, our audience that this is what a bad girl looks like, right? Sadly, it is leading to a lot of body dysmorphia in our daughters. Women are spending too much time in this obsession with the beauty myth that I'm not good enough, and today I need to change this, I need to be on that diet, I need to be a certain way to be approved, to be appreciated. 59% young girls from the age of like 5th standard to 12th standard said they are unhappy with their body shape. By age 15, girls are twice as likely to be depressed. 1/4 of your self-esteem comes from your body image. And guess what? When 97% women were asked, they answered at least once a day, I have a I hate my body moment. Not I don't like it, not I wish it was like this, I need to change this, I need to work on this. No. I hate my body moment. And there are 13 negative thoughts during the day. Have you ever found yourself go in front of the mirror and quickly tell yourself what is missing in you, what is wrong with you? Before and after you use the restroom, when you get ready, every time you get a glance at yourself. We are getting recolonized. So my grandmother, Maji, used to say, put uptan on her face so that the dusky girl becomes fair. Because she had seen the British rule over India. She had the obsession with the fair skin. What now? The last 4 shows I have watched, okay, chick flicks or whatever you want to call it, Sex and the City 2, the series, Bollywood Wives, Dubai Bling, all normalizing cosmetic surgery for women. They're saying, don't just stop at the parlor, get some injections on that face, some lip filler, some Botox. Guess what? We are contributing to 1/3 of this industry's revenue globally. So from breast augmentation, liposuction, abdominoplasty, breast lift, eyelid surgery, we are teaching women that there is a lot from the menu card that you can pick up so you can serve the opposite sex better. Which brings me to my final syndrome, which is the asexual being syndrome. A lot of people might squirm and become uncomfortable about this because in India, good girls don't talk about sex. We are teaching our girls that sex is a taboo or it's a, dirty secret, and that good girls do not talk about sex, they don't indulge in it. There is a culture where a woman's entire life or majorly is based on understanding that sex is something, or her purity, her virginity, something that will be taken away from her. So her whole life is about protecting this from happening. It's like they will take this away from you. So before marriage, you cannot get pregnant. After marriage, you have to get pregnant. And inside of this whole thing, a good 20, 30 years are lost, right? Because we think sexually active women are promiscuous. Research shows, I'll come to it, but before that, we are becoming a country where we don't think of women as human enough to have sexual needs. We don't talk about sexual education or sexual agency. Sexual education is just about teaching girls not to get pregnant. What about STDs? What about consent? What about sexual agency? Sex is both taboo and a commodity in this country, right? Interesting phenomenon. Men will like it. Okay, so in a survey, men were asked, what is your biggest sexual fantasy? Men had a lot of ideas. They said, well, there's bondage, role play, threesome, doing it in a public place. The list was long. Then the same question was asked to women. What is, feel free to laugh, guys. We don't need to be so tense about this. Okay, right? Yeah, I was like, okay. So, okay, we need more of that sound. Okay, so, so women were asked the same question. Thank you. Women were asked the same question. That, what is your biggest sexual fantasy? 97% of them said, foreplay. Don't treat me like an object, is what most wives are telling their husbands, because 37% or more of them have never had an orgasm. Okay? We are taught women that sex is an ugly necessity, it's a chore, it's something you do to make your man happy. Don't be a bad woman and try to talk about sex or explore your sexuality. Why? Another thing, mothers don't talk to their daughters about sex because we think if we talk to children and adolescents about sex, they will go out there and do it, which is wrong. Research shows that when a woman, when a daughter, an adolescent, or even a son has these conversations with parents, they go out there and they say no where it's wrong, they practice it with protection, and it's a much better sexual esteem to have. So, everything that I talked about, the three syndromes, which are making our women overthinkers, depressed, anxious, it just boils down to asking a simple question to that most important woman in your life. Are you happy? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel free? Because everything for women is around one C word, and it's called chastity. We are supposed to be pure. We are supposed to be sacrificial. We have to become martyrs, right? And because of that, the women you love are leading a life of compromise. If I loved somebody a lot, I wouldn't want them to lead a life of compromise. So the biggest flag bearers of feminism are men. Men, we need you. We need your support. And women need to support women. This is beyond feminism. Let's not call it that. Let's make it about humanism. So that you can give the gift of choice to your daughters, wives, mothers, that they can live the way they feel happy and feel free. And the next time a Bhabiji sees a group of people dance, she can just get up and dance. Let's not think that just because we are the opposite sex, we are in opposite teams. It doesn't have to be that way. Let's support each other. Galib said it beautifully. It takes both color and fragrance to make a wonderful garden. रंगे बू से बनता है चिलमन, तुम ही तुम हो तो क्या तुम हो, हम ही हम हैं तो क्या हम हैं. Thank you very much.